Good evening and welcome to the working session of June 18th, 2025. Number one discussion is MPCA Minnesota decision documents on the HPU Superfund. Ms. Solivanti, I'm assuming you will be speaking to this.
Yes, I will. Mayor, Council, welcome. One second, I'm just going to grab the agenda. So in your packet tonight is a draft of the MPCA's Minnesota decision document dealing with the Hibbing Gas Manufacturing Plant site at 235 41st Street West in Hibbing, Minnesota 55746. This site has been declared a Superfund site, and the City of Hibbing staff has been collaborating with the Hibbing Public Utility staff and the MPCA to have a conversation about this particular site, because the MPCA would like to work with the legislature in the 2026 session to see if they could secure the funding necessary to clean up this site in the next session. This decision document is one of the first steps in that process to be published and put out there for comment. Typically, the MPCA works with the stakeholders on a decision document and a draft to put that in front of the major stakeholders first, to allow you all to review it and provide some comment back to the MPCA prior to a public notice. The Public Utility Commission, Councilor Bayless, you'll be seeing this, or you have seen this already, correct?
Not officially.
Okay, so it'll be coming, I assume, to the commission because the general manager has been working on this as well,
Okay,
as part of the collaboration.
Yep.
I know, Mayor, you've been involved, and
Yep.
then the city administrator, Mr. Przinski, as well. So basically, it just lays out the site, what's happened so far, what they plan to do to remedy it, what they've done to study it, and then how they plan to move forward. And so at this time, it's just to get the draft in front of you, to have you look it over, tell us if you have any questions, want us to relay any concerns back to MPCA staff, and share all the information with you to get your input on it prior to being published and being finalized.
So this is their documentation to this point on this site, is
Correct.
what you're passing on to us. Very good. Councilors, do you have any questions for Ms. Solivanti?
So is there, I haven't really taken too much of a peek at, is there any funding, like they're planning on doing all the cleanup or not?
Correct. So great question, Councilor Bayless. The Hibbing Public Utilities exhausted the need for their investment of public funding of ratepayers into this particular site back, I believe, in 2004, and then turned it over to the MPCA for state-assisted cleanup at that time. They have done monitoring and studying of this site ever since. They have quantified or sort of put the map together of the site constraints and those sorts of things, and then what they'll do is go to the legislature to secure funding from the state. The estimate right now is, I believe, at about a $1.5 million cleanup is what they'll secure or request funding for. But at this time, the taxpayers and the ratepayers do not have any additional requirements for continuing to fund this site.
It's good. Good to hear. Councilors, any other questions for Ms. Solivanti?
I thought at the federal level, there's like $3.7 billion that's been pulled for this type of funding sources.
Good question, Councilor Hoffman-Sockman. I don't know if the MPCA's funding comes from a federal allocation into the state. I'm not sure. They didn't indicate that. They indicated they would be going for state bonding. So I'm not sure where the funding originates from, but that's what the MPCA staff has been telling us up to this point. And the MPCA and the Hibbing Public Utilities in the city have really been collaborating well on this particular project, I feel. They've answered a lot of our questions and done a lot of the work. So it's been a great collaboration at this time.
Any other questions? Very good. That's a great
Excellent.
update. Thank you.
Perfect. So if you have any additional questions or concerns that come up after this meeting, feel free to email them to me and I'll relay them on to the staff at the MPCA and we'll get all of that information in there prior to it being finalized. And I thank you for that.
Thank you so much. All right, with that, we'll move to a roundtable discussion. We'll start with you, Ms. Krasinski.
Mayor, City Council, a couple things. Just real quick, public safety building, those bids were opened yesterday. Even though we don't have the bid tabs ready for you yet, I would say it was very favorable to us, so we're cautiously optimistic. We'll have the bid tab ready for City Council and then action, next week, and then action July 2. And then I would like to talk a little bit about the property that the animal shelter is located on. Remember, we had a ask-in of the board, heard back from the general manager at the airport today, and they are willing to divest of that 5-acre parcel, trying to develop a pathway forward. We're trying to nail down those details, but I will respond to the city council as soon as I have a nice, clear pathway forward on how that's gonna happen, so. Hopefully I didn't steal your thunder, Counselor. Okay,
Nicely done.
that's all I have from my office, thank you.
Okay,
Start with the cleanup.
yes, let's, gotta talk to
All right, so Friday, Saturday, June 6th and 7th, we held our third annual citywide cleanup at Stunts Garage. It was highly, I would say, successful for us, including a lot more volunteers. The Walmart group came
Yep.
Friday, full day, which was really, really, really helpful. This was one of the first times I had seen people outside of public officials coming to volunteer, not just Walmart, but there was residents that came from the Greenhaven area that introduced themselves to me. They did an awesome job. They came down just for a couple of hours. It is a very, very successful event. I actually really enjoy doing it. I was kind of hoping this year I'd pass off some of the duties and responsibilities, but I actually enjoy it. We had cleaned, so the numbers that I had received kind of shocked me, just because they were not consistent within the prior 2 years. We had did roughly anywhere from 40 tons to 45 tons the first 2 years. This year it was 70 tons, which was about double what we've done in the past couple of years. And so I kind of did a little bit of backtracking in it. There was one gentleman that had showed up with a full dump trailer of tires. And he explained that he attempted to bring these out to the transfer station prior, or at least make arrangements. They were cleaning up a property off of Old 169. He said, I talked to him Monday, they did 26,000 pounds of tires, and this was not a commercial property, this was a residential property. This property would not have actually fallen into our urban service district, so it wouldn't have even been considered blight under our ordinances or anything like that. So roughly about 70 tons, it was like 140,000 pounds, I believe is what the total was. But it was a lot of people's stuff. I think there was multiple times we came in and it was like, well, how do people have this amount of tires or this amount of mattresses? And I really think by continuing in this, it's going to help as a resource for people to get rid of their items, whether it's the blighted stuff, the blighted properties, or just even our actual residents. And the overall cost of it is drastically cheaper than doing 1 or 2 of our actual city-run cleanups of these blighted properties. I think we're looking at this event was anywhere from about $6,000 to $7,000 out of pocket. When we include city services and all of those other things, we're looking at anywhere from $11,000 to $12,000. And the amount of items that we are able to throw away is astronomical. And I really, really appreciate the help, Mayor, Councilor Whitney. That was very, very good and very well helped. I think it's again, something we look forward to every year and something we'll continue.
Very good. Tyler, I just want to say, and I think I can speak for Counselor Whitney too. It was really done well, and one of the things that I really enjoy is when someone said, hey, my neighbor is wondering if we could pick up, she saw me hauling, and can we haul their stuff too, and they did. And I know one property, I won't go into it, but where it was being hauled from, and I think he made 2 or 3 or 4 loads of the Blight property that he was hauling of his sons, and it did make a difference. So, no, the days went fast, and there's a couple things that was being thrown away that my wife now has in her garden. So I made her day. So someone's trash is another person's delight. So
Unless it's considered blight.
unless it's
And
considered
those
blight.
tires and mattresses,
Yes.
gone.
And I thought you did a great job coordinating with the county with those tires and stuff, and
Yeah, but we might have made some new rules that will be coming out next year, so.
all right, I'll move on to Ms. Sepula.
Thank you, Mayor. And counselors, just wanted to let you know that the RFP for the animal sheltering services has gone out. We've had multiple requests, so that is a good sign. And so by the time, July rolls around, I think the end date was July 15th, and then we'll get the interviewing going, right away. So just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Bayless?
I'm good.
Counselor Schweberger?
Good.
I have just just thanking everyone for that day that worked on it, and the volunteers, and Tyler, your daughter, who was there almost the whole time, was fantastic. Unbelievable how well she worked and just took charge for someone, I think, in 9th grade. It was crazy. I did have someone reached out about blight outside of our urban area. So that's the one thing, I know we've talked about it a few times. I did reach planning and zoning, and they said, no, our blight is just urban living, correct? How do we address blight in our rural area? I guess that's, what determined that? Was that just a city ordinance, a policy? And I guess that's why I'm asking. I know there are some differences between urban and rural, but
Well, I think what, the original design of the blight was to focus on the areas that were impacted most by the public.
Okay.
Which would have been the primary residential areas, the center of city, I
Yeah.
guess you would
the closer
say. Yep.
properties. Yeah.
Yes, while the drafting of the actual ordinances were being put into place, there was wording that was discovered for the enforcement area that was directly dealt with the urban service district. So there was outlining properties that we found inside of that where we were not gonna be able to issue citations or go from it. And then we ended up expanding it in 2021, somewhere in there, 21 or 22, to expand it to a more dense population area. Because there was properties that you never would have realized would not have been in the enforcement. So I think we tried to incorporate more of the original town, the city of Hibbing,
yep.
and then expand a portion of it for the stunts area.
Okay.
Again, we have to keep the blighted issue manageable.
Right.
We obviously have the largest area,
Yeah.
landmass in the city, so
Yeah.
it becomes very, very difficult, especially when you're receiving hundreds and hundreds of complaints. So I think that the idea of it, the principle was the area of where it was most populous and most visible to the community.
So I guess what I kind of heard you say is if you have a kind of a rural neighborhood area, that could still be looked at.
Yes, I think if we just somehow or another changed a portion of the wording where it included houses within such a close proximity, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming people out off of Day Lake aren't gonna,
You're right.
2 properties out there that aren't visible from the roadside or visible from, or heavily trafficked areas,
Right.
where there's an expectation that the public would see it versus,
Okay.
a private portion of it. I think we could do that, but then again, we're having trouble or trying to come up with a solution for other ways to
Okay,
enforce
yep.
our ordinances.
Well, it was a question asked, and, you know, their concern was, well, I am in the city of Hibbing, which, yeah, and there was the stunts, and you hit it perfectly when you said, when the annexation happened, stunts, and within stunts, and I'll use where I grew up in Elmwood Road, there was 16 houses on a quarter-mile road, so it was like, with street lights, it was like living in town, like on 19th or 39th. So it has the same feel, and that's not where the location is, but I'll just maybe send it to you, you can take a look and make your decision on it.
I kind of have an idea where it is already.
Okay. All right, anyways, that's all I have.
Thank you. So, really quickly here, and I don't know if it's best to have the discussion here or in HEDA, but I was, and Betsy, you did a great job on the matrix and all of that kind of stuff for the 400 block. But when I started evaluating the two different proposals that came forward for the 400 block, it almost felt like we weren't comparing apples to apples, but like apples to oranges, because I don't know, there's just so many unanswered questions, and I'm just wondering if, as a city council, that we might want you guys be more involved in the process, because we want to get it right. It's such a visible project. And should we get the input from the councilors as well? I don't know if anyone's reached out to you, that type of a thing, but not knowing what questions were asked of the presenters, were they given the same information and how to present? Because hearing both of those presentations, they were miles apart, in my opinion. So I'm just wondering if we need to reevaluate the process or what we're doing.
Okay, I hear. Betsy, would you care to comment on that, or? They are apples and oranges, there's no doubt about that.
Mayor, Council, this is the first time having been through this process for this particular body and the EDA. So there isn't a clearly defined process at this time. So this particular one we're building as we go along. So the criteria was drafted and presented, and at this time the EDA hasn't adopted it.
Right.
Or, you know, made a decision on how they'd like to move forward. So that conversation can happen at the July 14th meeting, but we are keeping both council and EDA apprised of all of the presentations and any of the criteria and the process as we move forward. So at any particular, you know, EDA meeting at this time, which is where the process has been referred to, the group there at the EDA or the city council could make some decisions and choose to refine the process or delay the process a little bit more and ask for additional information from both presenters.
Yeah.
At the July meeting, you could make that decision, and then have, you know, subsequent presentations and a little bit more defined information come to, say, the August meeting or a special meeting.
I like that.
That could be a joint meeting between council and EDA, if it's published appropriately and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's lots that you could do at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing's really set in stone.
Good,
And
thank you.
I think
appreciate
because
that.
this is such a visible project, it is gonna change our downtown. I appreciate what you just brought up.
And Mayor Council, the request for public assistance that this project, both have indicated they probably will come forward with some type of public assistance. That will have to come to council because that
Yeah.
application and jurisdiction lies with the council, right? So you do want to make sure that you're collaborating fairly closely with the EDA, because if the EDA approves one developer and starts to work on an agreement, and then that developer makes an application to council, you're going to want to be aware of, you know, what that has looked
Yeah.
like all the way up to that point, so that you aren't starting from scratch and then, you know, restarting that process. So,
Good,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Betsy, appreciate it.
Sure.
Counselor Whitney,
That all?
I think I'm good.
Counselor Hildebrand,
I think I'm good.
Mr. Story,
I know I'm good.
Ms. Muller,
I'm good.
Attorney Borland.
Pass.
With that, we are done. Everybody have a great night.
Thank you.